Fantastic. Listen, I am so excited that each of you are here with us today as we are sipping some water. And you would like to know what's in this drink.
Electric lemonade. Yeah, the electric part's what's fun.
Delicious. I'm sure. I can't wait to hear all about it. But you know what? Let's speed past all of that stuff, y'all. Today, we are discussing clarity in the Pen Conference, and I have an amazing speaker guest that is right here with me, my sister. I love her.
I love you too.
Oh my goodness. And she is one of the conference speakers. She has a working knowledge of over 10 languages, and I can't wait for you to hear how she's going to work with people at the Clarity in the Pen Conference. Her name is none other than Cristen Colleen. Hi, welcome, sis.
Oh, thank you. I love you so much.
I love you too.
We've known each other quite a while.
Holy, who knew? Running into you at the Southfield Area Rotary Club would form this awesome bond.
That's right.
This is amazing.
It's all about connections.
Exactly, right? Okay, so tell us a little bit about your journey to becoming a global language and culture strategist.
All right. Sounds like quite a mouthful, right? Global language and culture strategist. But the truth is, I usually say I speak 10 languages because I'm very comfortable with, well, you start with one, and then it's just anybody who's got more than one child out there, there's like, how do you have 4 children? Well, you don't start with 4. Okay. So, I started, back in high school. And I took a language class, and my parents encouraged me. My mom specifically, she said, take Spanish, you'll love it. And she doesn't talk like that, but I love my mom. So
Spanish.
So I took Spanish, and I really picked it up quite quickly.
Okay.
And what happened to me was really, I learned from the academic.
Okay.
I found the application in real life and how it connected me to people, to hearts.
I love it.
And to stories.
Absolutely.
People, we would cry together. We would solve problems together. And then Spanish became a tool to open windows of the soul.
Wow.
And that was just Spanish. That was my first. So I lived in Mexico.
Okay.
I taught English, was learning Spanish. And then I was in Washington, D.C., where I learned Turkish and Arabic. I lived with
I love it.
I lived with Middle Eastern women, Muslim women. I myself am Christian. I think it's really, really important if you're going to connect across cultures. You might want to know a little bit about the other culture before you say yours is the best, because some of the most open-minded, I would say, just more than religious, godly, spiritual, helping, wonderful, heartwarming people were not of my same religion.
Wow.
So when I lived with Muslim women, I learned a lot about other religions and other cultures, and it really opened my heart. My heart got bigger through that process.
That's amazing.
So I learned Arabic at the Middle Eastern Institute. I'm not fluent in Arabic, but conversational, I like to say, relationship building phraseology.
Yes.
So I speak 20 to 30 other languages in what I call relationship building phraseology, which is just enough for building likability, trust, and respect. Not just respect for them, but their respect for you.
Wow.
So the hearts and doors and opportunities you can open by speaking the language of the soul. And I believe it was Nelson Mandela that said, I'll see if I get this quote right, but he basically said, speak to a man in a common language, and you connect and you understand each other. Speak to a man, or at least man, woman, in their own language.
Yes.
And you're speaking to their heart. So so I lived in Brazil. I owned a language school there. I learned fluent Portuguese. And then I went on to learn Serbian and some Arabic and Turkish and Mandarin Chinese. Yeah. And I'm studying Swahili right now. And we just had in our house, we were very blessed to have 5 delegates from Africa.
Wow.
That were in our home. I cooked dinner for them. I love to cook. And we sat around and we played games. We talked. We shared stories. and we prayed.
Yes.
And I encouraged everyone, pray in your own language. We had French, Arabic, English,
Come on.
and then some of the African languages that I don't know yet.
Yes.
And it was just, it was 4 hours together,
wow.
Really connecting, and language was the piece that like connected us together, but it wasn't about fluency. That's the key. It wasn't about fluency.
That's amazing.
So that's just a piece of my journey. Woo! Of learning other cultures and languages.
That's a huge piece.
Yeah.
I'm so excited that you shared that piece. And when you said Mandarin and Spanish in high school, I had 4 years of Mandarin Chinese and 4 years of Spanish, and I love languages. One thing about it, though, when you don't use the language, it becomes very difficult to retain what you learned.
So I'm going to challenge you on that. And I'm going to switch the word difficult to another D word.
Oh.
It goes dormant.
That's
dormant is just on sleep mode, but it's still there.
Oh yeah.
So you absolutely can get that back with using it. So it's not difficult as much as it's just dormant for a time being, but just with a few weeks to days in the language and culture, your mind, the human brain really is built to speak multiple languages. We are not using all of that in today's society. Some countries in Europe, it is very common to speak multiple languages.
Absolutely.
In Africa, very common. In many places in the world, speaking multiple languages is not a superpower. It is a superpower, but it's not something that it is the norm. And so you can do it too.
Absolutely.
I promise.
I'm gonna need a refresher.
Okay.
But I got you. Okay, so I'm excited about this, and you all are chiming in. Thank you all. I want you to like, tag, share, because somebody else would like to get the information that you're receiving today. If you are joining this broadcast and you're joining a little late, put hashtag replay in the comment section so that I can come back and greet you later. We would like to welcome you. All right, so my next question, sis, let's jump right in. The next question is, what's one thing that people can expect to gain from participating in your workshop at the Clarity in the Pen Conference?
All right. So as I understand it, my placement of where I'll be for the workshop is at the culmination at the end. So you can speak to it better because I'm very impressed what you're offering in the workshop, but it is taking people through the process, right? So everybody's got a story to tell. And when you've been through tremendous grief, one of the pieces is that your story really is to heal others.
Absolutely.
But it might only just heal yourself. And that is a big success. But imagine if you could take that story and touch the hearts globally.
Right.
So that's where I come in.
Okay.
So what can you learn in the workshop? Well, number one, I'm going to teach some language and cultural tips and strategies for the 5 most common languages.
Yes.
Okay. Spoken today. Now that will vary from region to region, but the ones here in the United States, because your conference is offered here in the Detroit area. So I'm going to give those 5 common languages, but I'm ready if somebody at the conference wants something else. Just let Latresa know and I will be prepared. It's in October, so we have time to plan. So, and I mean that because when you can connect with someone, even just a few phrases in their language, you fast forward what you can do in 15-minute conversation. You fast forward the relationship 15 years.
Come on.
You don't have time to do that in any other method. But if you can fast forward through knowing something about their language and their culture, you've got a connection.
Yeah.
Now, why does that matter? You've got a connection. And now today we know that books sell, products sell, workshops sell. It's social media. That is the new norm.
Absolutely.
Everyone is connected in their own circles, but you're not in every circle. But if you can meet people from Nigeria, from Brazil, from Turkey, from Japan, from the Philippines, I can think of friends right now. I connect to them right now. And I say, from the heart, I've got a story to tell.
That's real.
I just went to this workshop. I've been through grief. And we may get to that later because
Yes.
Latresa and I have some shared stories about going through some very significant grief. I always say that I'm the rainbow in the eye of the storm because I got hit pretty hard the last few years.
That's real.
But I wanted to keep going, even though there's a storm around me, because the storms don't always go away. You think it's just a chapter. They keep coming.
Absolutely.
We had some stuff that we shared that may have happened like last night in our personal lives.
Absolutely.
These storms keep coming.
Yes, they do.
But through that, if you can leave the longevity of your story to heal others and do that globally, you're going to need connections. You're going to need a network. I can help you build that.
That's good. That's good. And the thing that I love is that you help people see how they're already connected.
Already connected.
A lot of times we feel like we're off in these silos, but really we're already connected. We just need to know how to navigate that connection that's already present.
Absolutely.
I love it. I love it.
And that's the piece that I'm going to help with and it's easy, and it's not about fluency. It's about connection. And when you can have those connections and even those influencers and those organizations and people believe in your story, the story that you will write at this workshop, you may not come in having written that story. You may have it here and you may have it here. But by the end of the workshop, you are well on your way.
Come on.
And then going global is more about profit. It's more than profit. It is touching hearts and healing hearts across the globe.
Absolutely.
But you got to know how to do that first.
That is so true.
That's what we're going to do at the conference.
Come on. Come on. I love it. Absolutely. And I love the fact you talked about touching hearts. And sometimes when we don't know how to properly package that book with our titling and things like that.
Absolutely.
Even though the content within the book will change the life of those in another country who reads it, they can't even get the book yet because the title.
That's right.
So
that's right.
A little bit about that, because you spoke to me about that before.
I did.
Okay.
Well, some quick, fast examples that come to mind is, there's a famous story, and if you're in advertising or marketing, you probably already know it. But voy a hablar en español un poquito para los que hablan español. I'll speak a little bit in Spanish and give an example of what happened when the American, I would say, marketing system tried to market the car, the Nova.
Okay.
It was a very affordable car. There's a long story behind it, but Nova, you break that into 2 syllables. No va. But the va in Spanish is like ba. V's are like ba, right? So no va. Y los que hablan español ya están riendo, ¿no? Everybody who speaks Spanish is already laughing. No va. Quiere decir que no funciona. Like, no va means it doesn't work.
Right.
It doesn't go. Who's going to buy a car that says, it doesn't work? Buy our car. It no run. It doesn't work. No. But they did not run that through the translation machine.
Wow.
And it's not the words. Google Translate isn't your answer. It's the cultural translation.
Yes.
Those of us, and I know it's a PG audience, but there were some movies that Great Britain, Big Willie didn't do so well.
Wow.
They had to translate some of that. That was even like not something appropriate you can say. So just some of those titles that you might think are really, really connecting. And you may have a title that really is a idiomatic expression that doesn't translate across cultures. Wow. So it's the words and it's the culture, but some cultures don't resonate with certain titles. And that's the piece that's essential, because your content is going to be amazing. And we're outside. We're enjoying this. We were outside sipping drinks, having fun till the sun went down. And we said, would you like to do an interview?
Yes.
Spontaneous. I said, let's do it. And so across cultures and across timelines, because right now we're in the dark a little bit, but it's fun.
That is so true. Well, you know what? I think they're ready for a little more.
Some depth?
Yeah, a little more depth. So let's say somebody's listening. What's one piece of advice that you can give to someone who desires to release their book in a different country?
So first, I would say you have 2 options. You can hire a professional that knows about the the trustworthy publishers and connectors in those countries. Now, I do not produce books or publish books all over the world, but I have some of those connections.
Okay.
And I have some of those connections that I can trust, that I can hand off and pass, right?
Absolutely.
And now you all will be the judge when you're producing, your own work and you're publishing your own work. But you kind of need somebody who's already been through that in the country that you want to connect with, right? So let's say it's Korea. Let's say you come from Korean American background and you have a story that happened here in the United States, and you share that story and you write that grief story, and usually there's triumph and success at the end of that story, and you want to touch the hearts here in the United States and your bloodline back home.
Absolutely.
Well, you don't have all those connections. So one is the connections, and I do have some specific advice on that. The other would be the networks that you reference, that you already have, that you don't know you have.
Absolutely.
Right here in your own backyard that speak Korean or know Korean organizations. And there is a way to get there. But here's the thing. You don't just go knocking on the door. You don't show up there's a Latino festival coming up in October, and I'm volunteering at that festival. I'm really proud of it. It's like our fourth year. Yeah, it's amazing. So we're connecting all the Latino communities in a Hispanic culture, Latino culture in Ferndale. Okay. But connecting there that day, you don't just walk up to someone and say, hey, I've got this book. I want to go global with it.
Wow.
You share it all over Colombia. You have to build the network. You have to build the trust. There's a specific way to do that is not the same in every culture. There's a window of opportunity. There's a way to do it. And that's what we're going to share, is speaking the language and the culture of the people, but not fluency, is just a way to gain the respect.
Absolutely.
But once you get in the cultural differences of how, I'll give you a quick example I'll use Germany and the United States.
Okay.
So if you're an American presenter and you have really rocked the stage and anything you're trying to pitch works very well in the United States. Well, I shouldn't say in the United States, to an American audience.
Okay.
It could be anywhere in the world, but to an American audience. You're using your own cultural biases, which is fine. It is okay. Right. It's what you know, what you experience. You're using your own way of doing that, and you're selling. Now, Americans are known for sensationalization. We're doing it right now. This is sensational. We're out in the backyard. We got our drinks. It's not staged at all.
Is it cute?
Exactly. Okay, that was so cool. That totally looked like we planned that. In Germany, they're going to say, where's the research? Where's the data?
Absolutely.
What's your case study? How did you learn that? No, it's going to be the most amazing thing, because research shows that brain waves work better when you're speaking two languages. You have more ideas, and the synaptic gaps, the fire the neurons and all that. Where's the data?
Wow.
Where's the research? Who have you? So if you're coming in to try to pitch to a German audience, you want to start in a different way.
Makes sense.
And build the trust in a different way.
Yes.
You may have to go with the data and the research of how many people have experienced this grief, have gone through similar loss. I'm going to look deeper into that. It depends on the subject matter, but you want to present the case first. But to an American audience, they may want to connect with the heart first. And if you're speaking to Latinos, family and love and loyalty and connection and heart.
Absolutely.
They're not wanting the data immediately. That's fine. But if you got to connect to the heart first and know the people first, then you go into business.
That makes sense.
And in other cultures, you do business first, data first, and then you go into the heart. So it may just be something as simple as rearranging some chapters in your book.
Wow.
Or taking a prelude from this section and just placing it over here. So it's really not, and you may only produce your book, or what I say produce, sorry, your product, publish your book in English only.
Wow.
To an English speaking German audience. But it's not about the language. It's about the presentation style. and it's about
Wow.
the culture.
I love it. I love it. So you know what I just feel like you just highlighted is the importance of us knowing the culture for where we're planning to release this
Absolutely.
book. And knowing the culture, you have to make some sort of connection before you even
Absolutely.
get there. I love it.
And you want to test it out with someone or at least a few someones from that culture to say,
Yes.
you know, here's my thought, here's my plan. They're like, no, that's what the internet says about Germans. Let me tell you the real story.
Come on.
So you still got to do that cross-referencing and data research, but I can help you with that and show you how to do it.
Yes, I love it. Now, for the person that's listening and they have already gained the advice, they love what you're doing and they want to be able to truly connect across cultures, please share any product, like something they can sample before they get to the workshop, any product or service that you offer that will help them be able to connect across cultures.
Okay. So I would say the first step is I do have a couple of YouTube examples out there for a project that I did. It's 45 minutes, so, you know, get some popcorn and stay tuned. I did for the University of Mexico. I was hired by Universidad Nacional Autónoma de Mexico, and that's UNAM, which translates roughly to University of Mexico. I pretty much said the Harvard of Mexico. So if you know it, it's very impressive. If not, you're saying nice. That's nice. But it's basically the oldest university in Latin America. There's a little bit of a date competition between Peru and Mexico on that. But Mexico, I'm going to go with because I live there, but I love you Peruvians. Peruanos, no. Pues aquí están en mi corazón, no? But I did a 45-minute presentation on how to connect across cultures and the 7 steps and how to do that. And that's out there. If you just, you know, YouTube Cristen Colleen, it's through the South African connection sister university that was partnering with UNAM. UNAM is UNAM or UNAM. And Cristen Colleen, just those two, and it'll pop up. It's the only one. But that's a really in-depth study of step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, if you're wanting to listen to that. But as far as highlights go, I am launching a Cultures Connect challenge. What? It's all free. So I've got some wristbands on right now. One of the orange and the blue, and they say Cultures Connect challenge on it. The idea is it's a global initiative, a deliberate global initiative, inspiring people to connect across cultures, across differences in 1 week. Ready, set, go. With as many people as you can connect with in 1 week.
Wow.
Organizations, schools, as individuals, religious organizations, corporate organizations. It's basically really focusing on an intended connection that you want to make, whether that's for marketing or business or connections or just personal growth. And then how do you do it?
Okay.
Right? So that's happening in October 10th. So I will have a street guide, I'm calling it. It's basically a way to do this on the go, so you can connect with as many cultures and many people as you can. So there's lots coming.
I can't wait. I can't wait. I'm so excited. Listen, this has been amazing. You're so wonderful.
I love you so much. We've been through a lot together, and I love this woman very dearly. And I will say this video is a little bit light and fluffy and entertaining, but there's a lot of depth. Absolutely. A lot of serious depth behind this, because when you go through grief and crisis, everyone handles it differently. And I would say you and I are a little bit similar.
Absolutely.
We put on a rainbow smile and we maybe go internal. People say, Latresa, you're so strong. Cristen, you're so strong. You've been through a lot and you're really not strong. Please. And it keeps happening. But that's the way we process grief. You said an example earlier. I know you're bringing this to a close, but to bring a more serious tone to this, you had said something that really touched my heart earlier about how some people take their grief out on others for several chapters beyond the episode.
Absolutely.
And that's understandable, by the way. And tell us a little bit more about how writing that story can help you maybe get that out and maybe not drain the people in your tightest network.
Absolutely. So sometimes when we experience grief and we don't know how to process it, we respond from more of our primitive core. It's a fight situation. Exactly. So it's more the fight or flight. So if I'm going to fight, that means no matter what someone may say, I'm instantly offended.
Yeah.
Right. Because I'm hurting and I don't know how to properly process it. But when you are writing, and this is reason why clarity in the pen, the conference is named this, in the midst of your writing, you can gain clarity, you can experience healing because you're dealing with the trauma, if you will. You're dealing with the emotions at that moment, and you're able to properly deal with it and see some things. And when you're working with a coach, they can help you walk through that process so you don't have to go through it alone. And that way you don't destroy your connections because of grief. When we don't properly deal with grief, it shows up at the job. You find yourself irritated by everything that somebody's doing at work. You find yourself showing up late. There are so many different passive aggressive ways that we deal with grief when we didn't properly handle it.
It's understandable.
It is understandable. However,
very understandable.
However, even though it's understandable, it doesn't mean that what you did didn't hurt the other person. So it's important to do what you need to do to heal so that you can be the best version of yourself.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to be able to host this conference for those who have lost a loved one, those who may have experienced divorce, those who may be connected, because sometimes caregivers. See, this is the thing that no one really discusses that often, but caregivers go through a grieving process as well, even before the person may have passed, because they lost some things in the midst of being a caregiver. They may have lost free time. They may have lost friends and connections, because sometimes when you're caregiving, you can't go do the things that you were doing before.
And I'll be honest, I've never spoken about this ever publicly. Let's see how it goes. But you know, my husband almost died, and I put on a rainbow smile, and that was my way. And I didn't really talk about it and I didn't really reach out. And those that love me the most, I know they would have been there for me. I just didn't reach out.
Right.
I didn't. It wasn't even fair to them. They couldn't. I didn't share. I just thought I would be classy and not bother them. But I took it internally, and I suffered a lot, some health crisis because of it. But getting through that, I realized one of the ways that actually did save my husband when he had pneumonia, but it was during COVID time, right?
Right.
Is clarity in the pen worked not just for me as a caretaker for 1 year solid after he was out of the hospital, but when he was in the hospital and they said, it's not firing right. It's not working. And so I thought, this is what I know. I love to write.
Absolutely.
And I know it connects and fires neurons.
Yes.
He started writing a story right there in the hospital with his pen.
Yeah, absolutely.
On paper, not speaking it into the microphone or typing it out. And it cured him. When I say it cured him, he went from not being able to think lucid to within 1 week, everything was firing because he was able to put everything out, all his creativity and all his thoughts. And his was like a sci-fi romance. So it really doesn't matter what you're writing, but getting it out is that passion, negative or positive, through your heart, through your mind, through your emotions, and through flowing through the pen. And every single person at this workshop we're going to have 5 speakers?
We have 7.
We have 7 speakers. So every single person leads you through a step of that process. Now, it's not grief counseling.
No.
It's how to write a book, how to get your story out there, but the story after a challenge. And then I come in to tell, how can you do this on a wider, bigger, global scale? Sure, it may sell, and it's about profits in that sense.
Absolutely.
But it's about leaving a legacy behind.
Come on.
For generations to come all over the world. It's about telling your story to heal yourself and others.
Absolutely.
And I'm honored to be a part of it.
Thank you so much.
I love you so much.
I love you too.
I really love you. It's gonna be so great.
Yes, it is. And I am so excited that you are a part of the team. And I'm loving the fact that each of you who have a story will also be able to experience this amazing gift and all of the other amazing gifts that are there They are experts in their area of expertise. And I am so honored that they're coming to empower you to not only write your story, be able to forgive, be able to market it before and after it's been released and take it global. And for those who lost a spouse, we do have a relationship strategist and you desire to remarry, there's a relationship strategist that will also be present to assist you in that process. This is a working conference.
But it's not just the conference. I know that every single speaker, myself included, is going to offer training and workshop post conference.
Yes.
So even if it's not grief related, but it's related to getting your book published or processing, whatever it is that expert. So I would help you with workshops and training and learning other languages, and it's not always for fluency. What I really focus on, a lot of heritage language learning. So if you are born from a certain nationality or culture and you say, I just need a piece, just to not just to impress grandma, but just to connect with my roots. I offer that training. Awesome. But I also work with corporations and diversity, equity, inclusion, and really taking a focus on Cultures Connect Challenge. So it's really just this tangible piece that you can take into any organization and say, we already have our diversity workshops. We already have that going well. And that's great. But here's an application once a year that the whole company, the whole organization, your whole community, or even as individuals can go through this process of connecting across cultures purposefully with a 7-step formula in 1 week. It's amazing. And so my companies, you asked me to share this, is Cultures Connect.
Yes.
Okay. And I am out there at Cultures Connect Challenge or Cultures Connect. But I think the best way to make it more personal, because I really, really, really do care of listening to your story and finding whether you're in corporate or individual or small business. LinkedIn, I love it. I love it because then we can take it offline and I can share my personal information. Cultures Connect events. I do global multicultural women empowerment workshops. I do once a year, a big one once a year. And there's just a lot of programs I offer, but Cultures Connect events at gmail.com, but really LinkedIn under Cristen Colleen. So got to spell it right though. My mama spelled it right. So you just got to, there's no H or no K is what they say. So,
I love it.
But really, I'm just honored to do this workshop and we'll see what happens from there. This is from the heart. This is heart work.
Absolutely. Well, thank you all so much for tuning in and hearing about the Clarity in the Pen conference. Listen, I have to share something else with you. Those who attend the conference get a complimentary registration, a ticket to the Writer's Ball.
Okay, are you going to be Smurfette?
You know what? I was debating on if Smurfette was showing up, but I think she may.
So what are you talking about? So wait a minute. We go through this serious conference on Friday evening and then all day Saturday and then a little bit of Sunday morning. But Saturday night, you get this 4-hour break in the day where you go home, you rest, you chill at the hotel, you got one, and then you show up in your favorite character of your favorite story. Could be sci-fi, could be romance, could be anything. And then you go with your +1 or you meet your +1 there because there's gonna be a lot of people there. So, but just masquerading and having fun. And here's the biggest thing, not crying for one night.
Come on.
You've been through enough. You've written your story, you've experienced your story. It's time to party.
That's part.
And maybe put on a facade of another character and be someone else.
Come on.
Because I'm going to be there.
We have a DJ and a photographer.
And
we are having a
drinks.
We're having a ball. There are games.
Having a ball and a ball.
Yes. Now, here's the thing. I'm looking for those who are aspiring authors to attend this costume party. Now, if you said, you know what, I don't want to write a book. I don't want to write my story. I've dealt with a lot dealing with grief. I plan maybe later in the future, I don't know, to write a story. But right now, I just need a break. I just want to come to the party and have fun. You can come to the Writer's Ball without having to attend the conference. However, if you got a ticket to the conference, you register for the conference, you get a complimentary entry to the Writers Ball. So I look forward to seeing all of you. This has been an amazing broadcast. Again, I'm your host, Latresa Rice. I am your mindset coach. I help bereaved Christians regain hope by rediscovering their identity and healing through writing. Stick around with us. There's more to come. Thank you all so much. We love you dearly.
God bless.
Have a great one.